Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're looking at a fixed blade by Mora. This is the Mora Kansbol, and I've got the additional multi-carry attachment as well. That's not exactly the technical word for it, or the branding name for it. I'll give you that later on, because I forget off the top of my head, to be honest with you. This is a knife that Mora sent to me per my request, and they were very generous and let me have one of these to review. I've liked Mora knives for a long time, and they are a budget knife of very good quality. Any bushcrafter worth their title knows about Mora knives and has one or two, and I've had a few, and right now I've only got a couple. And this knife is a stainless steel knife. It's come out very recently. This is the end of March 2017. And I'd like to talk to you about this Mora Kansbol. If you're interested at all in this new blade by Mora, stick around. The first thing that you're going to notice about the Kansbol is that it has a very modified tip on the blade. You've got your 2.5mm thick steel here, and then you've got this grind that comes across the side of the steel to the tip, right along the edge, just a little bit, a couple of millimeters off the final grind there on both sides, called their compound grind. Another place that you've seen it, the only one that I have that has that other grind on it, is this Mora Light My Fire. And of course that compound grind is quite a bit smaller and less dramatic, but it has a similar effect as the Kansbol. And then you put these next to each other, there we go. You can see the dramatic difference between the two. So similar kind of thing, but not quite the same. And as you can see, this is a much more typical Mora in that it's a much more narrow blade from the spine to the tip of the edge than the Kansbol is. And here we go, let's put that away. And the other big difference is it comes with a totally different sheath system. You can get it like this, the way the knife is right here in front of you. That's about $35 US, roughly. In most places, that's roughly what it's going to be selling for in North America. You know, different countries vary. Or you can get the multi-mount system, which I'll show you in the video outside, is this system here. And this straps on to just about anything you want it to. That's an extra $15, and so you're looking around $50 for the system with the multi-mount sheath. So let's talk about the knife itself. This is, in a lot of ways, your typical Mora, and in a few ways, not your typical Mora. I already mentioned one of the differences, and that is the depth of the blade from the spine to the tip of the edge, cutting edge, is deeper than your average Mora, deeper than your companion, your clipper, your bushcraft, what have you. They are all just slightly to a fair bit more narrow than this guy is. So this guy is a heavier knife in that sense. The thickness of the steel here is about the same as the average. It's 0.1 inches. And that's a lot of their knives are 0.1 inches. The companion carbon version is a little bit thinner. It's 0.079 inches or something like that, 2 millimeters. This is 2.5 millimeters thick. Very common for Mora to have 2.5 millimeters thick. Scandi grind, very, very common. So the way this knife cuts back here is the same as your average Mora. It just has more steel behind it, more strength, a little more robustness than some of the other ones. The other big difference from one Mora to another is the handle. And so you got to find one that suits your hand the best, because the other factors, you know, in some ways are less significant in terms of how different they are one from another than, than the handle is. The handles come in so many different kind of treatments, if you will, but they're all very much the same in that they are rounded around, they're comfortable. Pretty much every style is quite comfortable. This one here has TPE. This darker green section is all that TPE. It's a little bit soft. You can push your nail in it, And then this middle section here is just polypropylene, the same material that the sheath is, and that's, you know, harder. And then your rat tail of the tang of this blade comes back to, you know, about 2/3 of the way deep, you know, roughly in this area. And then it's just plastic back here, and that's why the lanyard hole can be where it is right there. Lots of room to put your paracord or whatever kind of lanyard you have through there. And then you can do some really light crushing with the back of your handle, like some walnuts or something, but nothing terribly significant. Don't be pounding in tent pegs and stuff unless you want to really chew up the end of your handle. This is a clip point. So you've got your tip here, and then the clip starts here coming down towards the tip. Great big belly. Because of the size of this, that dimension I just talked about, the 7/8 of an inch, you get much more belly with this knife than you do with some of the other models. The other models have a belly too, but it's either very shallow and long, or it's, you know, shorter and steeper. That's one of the biggest cutting differences between the other knives and this one, that belly right there. So if you're a guy who finds that the kind of cutting you do, you really like having a belly like this, what's that big belly good for? Well, it's really good for, you know, taking apart an animal, skinning an animal, you know, doing pretty much any kind of slicing kind of cutting. You're going to get the benefit of that belly tremendously. And it comes thinning down. The added benefit of that is being able to get into really tight spots and get that cutting done just the way you want it. That's why I think this knife is superior to things like the Clipper and the Companion and the Bushcrafter, and, you know, you can go through the whole gamut. I use those names because I posted on Facebook that I was going to be reviewing this knife, and some people asked, well, how does it compare to those ones? It compares very favorably, and I like it better. But is it worth more than twice as much in dollars? Probably not for the average guy. But for the enthusiast who has a bigger budget to play with, it's definitely a knife that I would suggest you get, because you're going to enjoy having the subtle, in some ways, benefits. But the benefits you get from this knife are definitely worth it if your budget allows for it. The knife is 3.5 ounces, which is 98 grams. You pretty much double it with the sheath, and especially with the multi-mount system. The overall length of the knife is 8.87 inches. That is, oh wow, I forgot to do it in metric. And that is pretty close to 23 centimeters. You know, good typical length. Not too short, you get plenty of edge there. The cutting edge is 4.125 inches, which is right around 11 centimeters. Lots of blade, especially for this weight, you get a whole lot of blade. And I already mentioned the thickness of the blade, 2.5 millimeters. It just says Mora stainless here. Most of Mora's stainless knives are Sandvik steel, 12C27. The new Garberg is 14C28N, which is quite a bit better steel. Not super steel, but it's a better Sandvik steel than the 12C27. So you can be on the outlook for that. You can be on the lookout for that knife if you want that. It's a good knife. It's a good knife. I really recommend it. It's very comfortable. Watch the outdoor video now. This is how I generally carry when I go out for a walk, go out for a little bit of a hike or something. I just use a sling bag. I don't use a backpack, and that's because of with my knees, with my disability, I can't go for a long hike anyway. On a good day, I can go a couple kilometers, and so I need to have some resources with me, and something this size is good enough for that. And this Kansbol, one of the really good features about it is the optional carry-along sheath. So you see it right here. I put it on the top of my sling. You could put it anywhere you want. It's got a MOLLE compatible system. And you take the knife out, the plastic sheath comes with it, and what you've got left is this main bracket. And you can use that. It's got multiple different ways of attaching it to just about any kind of bag you want. You could use it to attach to the handlebars on your ATV, or a back rack or on your ATV or something. So many different ways you can attach this, because it comes with adequate Velcro straps, 3 different straps of decent length. And of course you can buy Velcro straps at any kind of dollar store, and so you can attach it any which way you want. And the way it works is really simple. Your sheath has a couple of different options, rings that go onto this plastic. You just slide it on. You heard that click into place. You take your carry-on, you feed your strap through there, you tuck it in right there, you pull the strap around, pull it over the knife, and snap it down. And now the snap is holding the knife on the sheath, and the sheath is being held on with the Velcro, and it's secure. And so I can go for my hike. Whew, that was enough standing. So I can walk around all day long that I want to, and say I'm walking along and I need the knife in a hurry. I got it, ready to go, always available. Another way to carry this is take this part off. This was the locking system onto the sheath to lock onto this. Belt loop sheath strap or attachment. And you just drop your knife sheath through it, and it's going to click as well. And now it's being held by that sheath, and it's sort of a dangler. And when you need your knife, you just pull it out and you use it. Click it back in there and it's good to go. You want to see how secure that is if it comes loose? Well, shaking it doesn't make a noise. And let's show you how secure it is in there. It stays in place. You can hear just a little bit of noise with a slight movement in there, but it doesn't fall out. They put very generous rain holes in there, so if water does get in, it's just going to drain right in, drain right out. It's a really good polypropylene sheath system. I really like it. It's minimalistic, and it's done very, very well. So, let's get on to the knife itself. We talked about all the other details when we did the indoor part, so let's see how it performs in outdoor work. This aside. Now I got my knife and I'm ready to go. Now on Mora's own websites, they show batoning. But as you saw on my recent video about Schrade, is a knife at the edge of the wood, just taking off a little bit. So what they show is this, just a little bit taking off. And so what I took off is something like this, instead of trying to cut the whole piece of wood in half. Could it do it? Probably. Is that a smart idea? Nope. So you play smart, and your knife will last you a nice long time. This Sandvik steel is very good for this. It just cuts no problem at all. And of course the Scandinavian grind is great for doing this kind of work. Let's see if we can make a little bit of feather sticks. That's what the word is. Silly brain. I do really need to take more time to practice feather stick making. It's a skill that I need to get better at, and I just don't practice it enough. Huh, see, like that. I just don't practice well enough. But you can get a picture of, the knife does cut pretty well. As you would expect, you've probably seen dozens of Mora reviews. It cuts like a Mora. It is a Mora, and so it performs like a Mora. But if I don't do it today, when will I do it? I don't know. It's another one of my lessons is enjoy life while you can. If you wait for the perfect moment, it might not come. So how much I whittled off. Really nice cuts on there. Now this is pretty wet, but if it was dry, that'd be some pretty good kindling. And let's see if we can cut ourselves a little bit of a notch. Pretend that we've... I'm not the best notch maker.
Far from being the best notch maker.
It's not a big notch, but it's a notch. Not bad. So let's see. How sharp is this edge here? Woo, that's still very sharp. My fingerprint feels that. Nail nick test. There we go. Nail nick test, very grabby. Now here's my big ferrocerium rod. I think we made some sparks, and if we would have had a bundle here, I think it would have lit no problem at all. This is a good knife. I like it an awful lot. Okay, so you're back from watching the outdoor video. So to summarize, the Mora Kansbol is a knife that I highly value. I'm so very glad that I was able to get one. I especially like the mounting system. That's the best part about it. I don't always want to have a knife on my hip, and that allows me to carry the knife around or have it handy without having it on my hip. And I still have the option of, putting it on my belt and having it on my hip when I want that. Having that versatility is the biggest selling point on this knife. The second biggest selling point for me is its robustness. You got more steel. It's heavier duty. It'll take that minor batoning better than some of the other ones. Very sharp, keeps an edge very well. Sandvik has always been very good for that. So there you have it. If you like this video, please click on like, share with your friends. Please do comment. I really appreciate the comments the most. And thanks so much for watching and subscribing. This is my last video of my first year of having this channel. My next video, I start year 2 of Canadian Cutting Edge. Thank you so much for being part of it. And we're just going forward and growing bigger and better. And remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.